Taxes was waiting around for your taxes to be done, which led to worrying about not getting any money back. Now Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes in a day to get you up to $4,000 fast with a refund advance loan. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Expert filing only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. Refund advance has $0 loan fees and 0% APR. Refund advance loans may be issued by First Century Bank, N.A. or Web Bank. Terms apply, subject to approval.
We will not be held responsible for any hearing impairments or damage caused to you from excessive exposure to this sound.
Going through paperwork, trying to figure out, oh crap, we're live. Hey everyone. Welcome to the world's most professional radio show on the 24th of August, 2012. How you doing, buddy?
I'm not talking to you.
Why? What did I do now?
Nothing. That's the problem. So, I'm excited. The Oakland Athletics defeated the Tampa Bay Rays tonight.
Yeah.
And it was awesome.
Which helps us out.
Yeah, so you're welcome for that because Boston can't ever seem to help Oakland out.
It is absolutely killing me right now, and I'm sorry.
We have a series with you guys coming up. I don't play on the team or anything.
No, you do. You know what? You're the 10th player. I don't care what anyone says. You're the 10th player.
Love to play on the team.
So a lot's coming up this week. There's a hurricane.
No, I want to talk baseball some more. What are you trying to do? Look, you know how long it's been since my team has been in the hunt for any kind of postseason?
No.
I'm sorry. I'll come back. Why? Really? You had to leave for that? Are you angry that Boston's not going to make the postseason this year?
No, it doesn't look like we are, and it's going to drive me absolutely insane.
Well, I don't know that the A's will either. I'm trying to have faith, but they have the lowest payroll in baseball. They're just fun to watch.
Yeah, but they're a good, young, scrappy team. You know, I'll give it to the A's. They always put together a team that's right around there, and I honestly think if for some reason they don't do well in the playoffs this year, I think they're going to make it, to be honest with you.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do.
They're playing good ball.
They're playing great ball. They have the whole second half of the season. If they don't make it, I would be shocked. If they do make it and don't go, like, all the way, then I think they have the potential to really be the team to beat next year.
Next year?
Well, I'm saying is if they advance into the playoffs and they don't get all the way, I think next year they're going to be the team to beat. I think they'll have a good young core. They'll have a lot to work with.
I don't. Here's why.
There's only one problem, though, that somebody has about that, and I'm going to bring them in right now.
If you got a business, that you didn't build that.
So Oakland needs to worry about that.
Well, that's because he's absolutely right. Oakland didn't build that. But I would think that Obama would be a Oakland Athletic supporter because, not an athletic supporter, that came out completely wrong. Maybe he's an athletic supporter, but like the sports team, not the jockstrap. Although maybe I don't know. I'm flustered now. But I think, because think about it, they have the lowest payroll in baseball.
Yeah.
Therefore, there should be some federal legislation that requires, say, the Yankees to pay for Oakland to get players, like a professional sports welfare program, because it's not fair.
Well, I think
right. What?
I think what they should do is anywhere that gets like state or federal housing, where it doesn't matter what type of community it is, you always have to take in whoever they tell you to.
No. I got one. Every year, a different Major League Baseball team gets to win the World Series.
And here's the good part.
What do you think about that?
I'll finally be able to play in the World Series because I'll just have to figure it. They'll have to take me at that point.
Well, yeah. It was crazy. What did Boston do tonight?
They actually won tonight.
Did they?
Yeah, they did.
Who they beat? They beat Petaluma?
No, you know what's funny is they beat Petaluma. You know what's funny is I watched the end of the game, and but I was more upset because there was trade news going on right now. I love when we do this, and people are just clicking in and like, I thought this was a politics show. And
yeah, no, it is. We're talking about redistribution of wealth in payroll and in championships.
Boston, and it's announced tonight they're probably going to make a trade with the Dodgers that's going to send over Nick Punto, Josh Beckett, Carl Cameron, and Adrian Gonzalez over to the Dodgers. So the Dodgers are ramping up for the playoffs, it looks like. It's not...
yeah, but they're National League. That's not real baseball.
Yeah, I know. But I know we're not going to get anything about it.
Do we have any callers that wanted to debate that?
347-205-9399. If you want to call in, we can talk National and American League and which is a real league and which is not.
And if you're for the National League, yours is not a real league, so we'll just get that clear right now before you call in.
And if you want to talk about that, you can call and talk to Clint at 347-205-9399.
Oh, don't be a sissy. You're an American League guy, too.
I love baseball. I am an American League guy. But I think this symbolizes for me as a Red Sox fan that we're officially in a rebuilding mode, which really pisses me off because they shouldn't be. If they just get rid of Valentine, held on to Euclid, they'd be fine, but I really think they're going to be into that.
So the standings, now it's interesting, the American League wild card standings looking like Tampa Bay, Baltimore, and Oakland are all in a three-way tie for those spots.
Tie.
Let me see where Boston is. Oh, they're 8.5 games back.
Yeah, no, like I said, it's not even feasible at this point. I mean,
it's feasible. There's 36 games left, right?
Really, if they played great ball through the end of the year.
Which they're capable of.
But then I get into the whole, did they earn it? And I know just being there, they earned it. But
what I want to know is how did the Seattle Mariners get ahead of Boston in the wild card standings?
Listen, why don't we move on?
No, because I actually like
we only have like an hour and 53 minutes left in the show.
And I could talk about this for that hour and 53 minutes just to watch your vein pop out of your forehead. Right now, you're turning red.
We had a topic request.
And it's like in another couple of games, it looks like Boston's going to drop right off this list.
God, they're killing me right now.
Okay, what do you want to talk about?
I don't know. Now, I don't know what I want to talk about anymore.
Do I have you all flustered?
Yeah.
This is how we start every show. Aren't you, used to it by now? Don't you know?
Well, now I'm seeing that we may have a technical issue that I thought we had accomplished. But hold on.
Is your microphone not working? That would be horrible.
It would be terrible because then I'd have to... Interesting. You know what? Hold on a second. We're going to take a quick break. We are having a technical difficulty. I apologize for that. It says we're off mute. This is the weirdest thing.
Eject! Eject! Eject!
This is just bizarre.
Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. We're fortunate enough to have our friend Vanessa do our news briefs. If you like her news briefs, she is a voiceover talent. Check out Platinum Vocal Cords. She has over 15 years radio and voiceover experience. Graduated Northwestern State University with a liberal arts degree. Don't let that scare you, folks. She is a true sackhead. Please check her out. Again, that's PlatinumVocalCords.com. Thank you.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I want to talk to you a minute about our friends over at HomefrontHugs.com. They're an amazing organization of volunteers who take their time, effort, and money to take care of our troops overseas as they serve our great nation. HomefrontHugs.com. You can donate, write letters to troops, adopt a troop, you name it, you can do it. Help those wonderful folks who protect our freedoms. Go to HomefrontHugs.com. Tell them Sackheads Radio sent you.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I know I've said it before. Check out our friends at conservativeoutcry.net, but I really mean it. If you want interesting and exciting political commentary and analysis, that is the place to get it. Different, always spot on, always truthful, never pulling a punch. conservativeoutcry.net. Tell Rooster to get Bulldog back on and that Sackheads Radio sent you. And also, coming soon, the Sackheads Radio Forum on conservativeoutcry.net.
Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank all the wingnut leaders throughout the world to give our men and women of the armed forces a job, as well as all the anarchists, terrorists, and Occupy folks that give our men and women in uniform on the home front, firefighters, law enforcement personnel, and first responders, job security here in the States as well. So thank all you wingnuts out there. This is Sackhead Clint saying have a good day.
Due to the graphic nature of this program, listener discretion is advised.
3, 2.
I love how you're still doing the countdown. We discussed previously that it's completely unnecessary. Hey, now welcome back, our two professionals, Sean.
Hey, so we're back, and we're back via telephone. I have no idea what I'm even doing right now while Sean's trying to fix the computer. And
Computers!
My way to fix it would be put a 168 grain jacket at hollow point right through the thing. But apparently Sean doesn't want me to do that right now.
I was bad first day. I'm like, this hardly ever happens, I swear to God.
Like a pocket mask or something we can put on this thing? I do CPR on this?
Oh, God.
We need to hire a tech support division, apparently.
No, we totally do.
And I have no idea what that even means. It just sounded awesome. So Charlie Rangel called Joe Biden stupid for his put y'all back in chains remark. And I think that's absolutely hilarious. When Charlie Rangel thinks that anybody else is stupid, that just says something in and of itself. But Charlie Rangel is the congressman from New York. He was censured in 2010 by the House Ethics Committee. He was guilty of several counts. I think it was like 10 or 11 of ethical violations. And what he said is, quote, the vice president says he's going to put y'all in chains. Was he talking about slavery? You bet your ass he was. Was he using the vernacular? Yes, he was. Did he think it was cute? Yes, he did. Was it something stupid to say? You bet your life it was stupid. So the fact that Charlie Rangel thinks that Joe Biden's remark was stupid is pretty telling in and of itself, and hopefully the Republicans actually use that. I would love to put a montage of Joe Biden's remarks like that together in an ad.
I'm working on it, I swear.
Is that microphone even live? He said he's working on it. I don't know if you can hear.
This is embarrassing. I'm sorry, folks.
Quit apologizing. What's with you? I'm practically doing a monologue right now, and I can't even talk baseball because I have nobody to give me any trouble back, which is kind of a horrible thing.
Well, can you hear me?
Well, yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me over the speaker?
I can hear you on my phone.
Well, then we're back.
Well, then I'm hanging up.
Hey, everyone, I'm really sorry about that. I have no idea what happened. That is absolutely insane.
I do. You hit that button that said do not push. You know, the one I had installed so you didn't push?
Yeah, well, you know. Dude, why does this happen to us?
You're so spun up right now.
Yeah, I know, but we are back, and I'm so sorry, folks. I don't know what happened. I really don't. Either way. So I love Charlie Rangel's statement because, first of all,
I'm done talking about it. I just did a monologue on it. This is so horrible.
Oh, my
tonight.
goodness. So you read an article that I sent you to a little while ago.
I did.
And it was on this website I heard of once called...
Conservative Outcry?
That's it.
I read a couple articles on there that I actually think is pretty interesting. Which one do you want to talk about? Because one had to do with the Insurrection Act, which was a very good article, and the other one has to do with Mitt Romney, which I'm pretty sure, I think Rooster writes half of his stuff just to get me to respond.
Well, if he's not trying to get the president to do something, pull Bulldog out of hiding, then the obvious solution is that he is trying to drive you crazy.
Which is awesome. I think it's great.
So
I don't know why.
Well, if you think both are worth talking about, let's go to Mitt first and give me the quick synopsis on what he said about Mitt.
He says Mitt sucks.
You know, for a quick synopsis, and you gave it to me. I'm so proud of you right now.
I did. Okay, it's called Mitt Romney, Another Second-Rate Candidate, and anybody who's interested in reading the article, I think it's a very well-written article. I think the running commentary between Mr. X and Rooster at the end is even better than the article itself.
Let's come on.
Oh, no, this is hilarious. But what's that?
I want to hear about the article, and then
I just told you about the article. What do you want?
Okay.
Good, throw him. So he basically said that it's a long article, but that everybody agrees on both sides of the political aisle that this election cycle, particularly the presidential election, is probably the most important election cycle in our lifetime. Simply because, did you just agree?
Yeah.
With my synopsis? So you agree that that's what the article's about? I'm confused.
No, I'm agreeing with what Rooster said, that this might be one of the most important elections.
If you're agreeing with what Rooster says, then why am I even commenting on this?
I was agreeing with that specific point. Will you just move on,
so
you
fun.
lunatic?
Hey, see, Rooster, I can do it too. You get to me and I get to Sean. Perfect. But basically, he says, hey, we're going to be picking a direction our country is going to happen. Are we?
What? Go on.
Oh, thank God that you did it to the computer finally. Are we going to continue on this European style of government that Obama's trying to take us down the aisle, or are we going to try and turn some of that around under Romney? Very well written. He talks about how Romney really is not the conservative choice, and I agree with him 110% on that. I agree with him that this election cycle is extremely important as far as determining the direction our country is going to head. One thing in the article, he says that, hey, if Romney is elected, hopefully he'll be able to dismantle a lot of the health care provisions. I think Republicans need to win the Senate also for that to happen, because otherwise the House will pass a bill, the Senate will not approve it, it will not get to the president's desk for signature. So this is a huge election for conservatives. Particularly when you talk about a lot of things and policies that the Obama administration has put into effect that are going to hit after this election cycle, and really take our country down financially. We're already heading that direction. But he talks about how Romney, much like McCain, is almost a second-rate candidate because he has no support. And he went through the gamut of everybody who ran against him in the primaries, and they fell one by one. But when they fell, their support didn't go to Romney until everybody was off the table, and I think he's right on that. One premise of his article he talks about is that Romney needs to go negative. And I this is a tough one for me, and I think this was the point that he was talking about that he maybe wanted me to react to. If there's something else, Rooster, I'm sure you'll call in or send a blog or something and tell me.
He's in the chat room.
Yeah, I figured. But, the unfortunate thing is I think that Romney is going to have to go more negative than he has. Mm-hmm. I don't believe that he needs to go negative to the extent that Obama has. And here's what I mean by that, Rooster, before you go sideways. I don't think that Romney needs to outwardly lie about Obama.
No.
Obama has enough baggage and enough stuff that he has done and enough things in his background to be able to attack legitimately, and I think Romney needs to attack that. So I don't know how you meant go negative, if you meant that he needs to hit Obama hard on legitimate things. For example, and I'm not even talking about birth certificate, birther stuff. What I'm talking about are things like his relations with convicted terrorists, like Bill Ayers, his relationship with known communists, Van Jones, and the school he went to when he was younger, his father being a communist, Jeremiah Wright. I mean, a lot of people. He's Valerie Jarrett. A lot of people he surrounded himself. I think he needs to hit him on Cass Sunstein and his positions and some of the things he's written about. I mean, Obama has a lot out there that connects him to radical anti-American sentiment. Hit him on the fact that, hey, you didn't even want to wear an American flag pin on your lapel while you're running for president of the United States until you got called out on it, and then you did it to be politically expedient.
Well,
so I think he needs to hit him hard.
Week is that we should definitely. I want to stay above the belt, and I know a lot of people think
that's not below the belt. I don't think if you're hitting them hard on those topics, I don't think that's below the belt.
I'm talking about the topics that people get on there are below the belt, and I think if we stay above that, and if he stays above that, and they obviously together, People respond to that better because it's that. I think people hate mudslinging politics. I think people hate the whole name calling thing.
They do, but you look at the election between Jefferson and Adams. That was a horrible mudslinging contest also. But I think the difference is both of those men wanted to take the country in the same direction. They disagreed on how to do that. This is different.
Right.
These two men want to take this country fundamentally in two completely different ends of the spectrum, and that's what makes this different. So I hear liberals say, "Oh, Jefferson and Adams was nasty." Well, yes, but they were two founders that had a specific vision of our country, and they may have had different ways of getting there, but they both believed in individual liberty and limited government and so forth. Different animals. So when Rooster says he thinks Romney should go negative, I'm curious as to how he means that, because Obama has gone very negative. I mean, basically his super PAC, and we did a piece on it a couple weeks ago, has basically accused Romney of being responsible for the death of some guy's wife. And now I hear that they may be trying to hit him on religion. I mean, they're going to be running a spot on, like, some of these news agencies are going to be running spots on the Mormon religion. Yeah. And I saw it on Fox News, and I don't have the specifics, so I apologize. But they're going to be, like, in order to try and affect that evangelical Christian base.
They're going to try to fire him up against.
Right. I mean, seriously, is nothing out of bounds here? I mean, you're not talking, and liberals are going to say, "Oh, well, you were just talking about Jeremiah Wright. Isn't that no? I don't know of the Mormon religion ever coming out saying, GD, goddamn, to quote him, America, or the chickens have come to roost and all these other things.
Yeah, I mean,
if Jeremiah Wright had a different view on Christianity or whatever it is, that's one thing. But when you're talking about these other things, these other policies coming into play and how that affects somebody, you're talking about something that's relevant. So the fact that bringing somebody's religion into it, specifically from a theological standpoint, not from a political standpoint like Jeremiah Wright was getting into, but from a theological standpoint, that's out of bounds, or it should be out of bounds. Absolutely. Saying somebody's responsible for somebody's death is out of bounds. For having your little minions go out and accuse somebody of being a felon, and then in front of the press corps, when you get called out for not addressing the press corps for 8 weeks, say, "Well, I never said that," or I don't think anybody's ever said he was a felon, and any ads I've approved have never been negative or untrue. I think
it's telling. It's very telling.
It absolutely is.
So Romney did fire back a little bit a couple of days ago when somebody asked him a question. His response was something to the effect of, "Well, nobody's ever asked to see my birth certificate."
So that was good, but again, why would you go down that birther?
It opens it.
Yeah,
up.
Those birther comments. That's a losing.
It is.
That's a losing argument with him. I mean, if I were Obama, I would loop that into a political segment and say, "Hey, see, look at even Romney is a birther."
Yeah.
And now people are going to think he's a wingnut. I mean, he's got to be smart, and I agree that he has to get tough. I don't think he needs to get dirty. And I think there's a distinct difference between getting tough and getting dirty. I think people are okay with a tough campaign, with people asking tough questions, pointing out specific factual information. But I think that when you start just slinging mud for the sake of slinging mud to distract from the arguments and the debate, I think that's what most Americans can't stomach.
Yeah, I think that's what turns people away. And I'll tell you right now, when every vote counts, you don't want to, especially the independents, because they're going to count big in this election. I think conservatives who would vote for Romney have already decided whether they would or wouldn't for the most part. I think they're still fighting for that middle ground, that independent thing. And I think a lot of independents don't want to see the mudslinging. They want to stay to the facts because, let's face it, that's what we're getting. You don't get the mudslinging when you get in office. You get the facts. Well, this president has shown you the last 4 years what he wants to do, which direction he wants to go. You either approve or you disapprove.
Oh, no. Can you imagine what he can do unchained?
No.
Now, here's the thing. Fortunately, if I think the Republicans have a good chance of taking the Senate, that one knucklehead comes out and makes that stupid statement against rape.
We're going to talk about that.
That's another issue. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. I think that the saving grace would be if the Republicans are able to take the Senate and the House, because it will be much more difficult for Obama to get some of these policies through. And it's going to be interesting to see how the legislature. I think Obama's going to try and circumvent them as he has several times in his presidency through executive orders and through appointing people to positions of power when Congress is not in session, right, even though they're in session.
But they're not.
But they're not. But they kind of are.
I wish I could show up to work and not.
You don't do that now?
Well, I kind of do that here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Hence the sound issue earlier.
So, another thing that Rooster points out in the article is that Romney should seek Sarah Palin's endorsement. And Palin is 4 for 4 in her endorsements, as far as people being victorious. And, Rooster makes the point that, well, Romney will not do that because he's too prideful, and I agree with Rooster that that's the case. I think he should seek Sarah Palin's endorsement because although she did not secure victory for McCain, she certainly energized him. And Palin, like her or not, she has a following, and she is a force to be reckoned with in the Republican Party, whether people want to admit that or not, because of her following.
Right.
And if the Republican Party splits and you have a third party form, or the Republican Party transform into something else, I have no doubt that Sarah Palin will emerge as a leader in that party. And one of the points Rooster makes is, well, I think he thinks that Palin has an eye on 2016.
Rooster calls Palin Caribou Barbie. Sorry, go on.
She looks more like Skipper because of the dark hair.
Yeah? Wow, I don't know what's worse, the fact that you knew that or the fact that you could recall it so quick off the top of your head.
What are you talking about? Sorry. I get Toys R Us ads every weekend. I do have a daughter.
Oh, that's a good point.
But she's 32, but still.
Oh, man.
I'm kidding. She's not that young.
That's why she's so worried about this election.
Yeah.
Social Security is right around the corner. Go on. I'm sorry.
So I don't necessarily disagree that she has an eye on 2016, especially if Obama wins. Although I don't know that Biden would run in 2016. I don't know that the Democratic Party would run him. Just like the Republicans did not run Dick Cheney when Bush was done. I don't know that Biden's electable just because he says some stupid stuff.
What do you mean? Hold on, wait. He doesn't just say stupid stuff. He says amazing.
Romney wants to let he said in the first 100 days, he's going to let the big banks once again write their own rules. Unchain Wall Street. They're going to put you all back in chains.
What does he mean by that? I don't even get... Oh, wait, Charlie Rangel
canceled his trip to Tampa this week?
No, why?
Oh, well, apparently he just found out that he's not part of the RNC. But he did officially cancel it because the hurricane's coming and he didn't want to take law enforcement emergency services away from the potential hurricane response.
Well, that was nice of him.
That was nice of him.
Doesn't Secret Service protect him when he travels?
No, well, at the end of the day...
Yeah, no, they do.
No, they do. I'm not arguing that. But I'm sure that came...
They're not going to do anything else.
I think Obama and Axelrod would probably sit in the room and go, so Joe's going to Florida? Yeah. Heard they might get a rainstorm. Let's cancel it. Okay. All of his press interviews, and I said this on Twitter earlier this week, are going to be him in the White House shed somewhere with a room full of teddy bears dressed like reporters. That's the only interviews he's going to be allowed to do from now on because it's the only safe place for him.
I'm surprised Obama and Axelrod weren't sitting in the room saying, so Joe's going to Florida, big hurricane coming through, could be dangerous. I mean...
Why don't you have him fly straight through to Cuba? No, gosh. And Rooster linked it. There's a whole top 10 hits on YouTube. And actually, I was going to use that as a commercial break, and maybe I can try to dig it up later, of Joe Biden quotes, video quotes, back to back to back to back to back. It's a riot. It is an absolute riot. It just highlights Joe as Uncle Joe. And I love Uncle Joe. I don't want to see him. I don't want them to tell him when he's no longer vice president. I want them to, like, have you ever seen the movie with Jim Carrey where he wakes up and he's in, like, a TV show but he doesn't know it and everything's staged around
The Truman Show?
Yes.
Yes.
They should do that with him as VP for the rest of his life. I think that would be amazing.
You know what? Have you seen Weekend at Bernie's? I think he's going to be Bernie.
I also have another idea for.
He's going to be the Bernie of the Democratic Party.
I have another idea involving Joe. Putin and Joe, kind of like The Simple Life. They drop them in San Francisco. They work at a Gap. All of them. They have to live together in a studio apartment.
Why at a Gap?
Why not?
No, they work at, like, a strip club in San Francisco. That would be fun.
No, because Putin would be cleaning up. He'd own that place like that.
That's a good point.
So why don't we do this? Why don't we take a break? We come back. I want to talk about the Aiken comment, and I want to talk about actually.
No. We're not done with Rooster. Rooster has a whole other article that he wrote that we haven't got to yet. Why are you so quick to dismiss our friend at Conservative Outcry?
That's not what I was going to do.
Rooster, you know it was. And I apologize because we appreciate all the help you've given us. So the fact that my partner is so insensitive, I want to apologize, Rooster, because we here at Sackheads Radio appreciate
everything
all you've done for us. And okay, I'm done.
All right, we'll be back. The phone number is 347-205-9399. This is the Sackheads Radio Show with actual audio now.
Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. We're fortunate enough to have our friend Vanessa do our news briefs. If you like her news briefs, she is a voiceover talent. Check out Platinum Vocal Cords. She has over 15 years radio and voiceover experience. Graduated Northwestern State University with a liberal arts degree. Don't let that scare you, folks. She is a true Sackhead. Please check her out. Again, that's PlatinumVocalCords.com. Thank you.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I want to talk to you a minute about our friends over at HomefrontHugs.com. They're an amazing organization of volunteers who take their time, effort, and money to take care of our troops overseas as they serve our great nation. HomefrontHugs.com. You can donate, write letters to troops, adopt a troop, you name it, you can do it. Help those wonderful folks who protect our freedoms. Go to HomefrontHugs.com. Tell them Sackheads Radio sent you.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I know I've said it before. Check out our friends at conservativeoutcry.net, but I really mean it. If you want interesting and exciting political commentary and analysis, that is the place to get it. Different, always spot on, always truthful, never pulling a punch. conservativeoutcry.net. Tell Rooster to get Bulldog back on and that Sackheads Radio sent you. And also, coming soon, the Sackheads Radio Forum on conservativeoutcry.net.
Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank all the wingnut leaders throughout the world to give our men and women of the armed forces a job, as well as all the anarchists, terrorists, and Occupy folks that give our men and women in uniform on the home front, firefighters, law enforcement personnel, and first responders, job security here in the States as well. So thank all you wingnuts out there. This is Sackhead Clint saying have a good day.
Due to the graphic nature of this program, listener discretion is advised.
3, 2.
I love how you're still doing the countdown. We discussed previously that it's completely unnecessary.
Hey, now welcome back, our two professionals.
So great.
Hey, welcome back to Sackheads Radio. We were just watching a video, sorry.
No, we weren't.
We have to, at some point we have to take this seriously, and I'm taking you to task.
No, you know why? Here's why.
Why?
Because as soon as I start taking this too seriously, I'm not going to want to do this anymore.
So Rooster had another article, and I see two people on hold right now. We'll get to you in a few minutes.
Let's get to them now.
All right, we'll take the first call.
No, let's not.
Nope, too late. It's already going. Hey,
Okay.
You're live on the air at Sackheads Radio. How are you?
Hello.
Hello. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Guess who this is?
I'm gonna.
Hang on a sec. Do we have a picture of you yet?
No. I don't know if you have a picture of me yet. This is the honorary Sackhead Andrea Kaye.
I know. How are you? How are you, Andrea?
I'm good. I've got my sleepy voice going.
That's okay.
That's okay. We love it.
I have my annoying voice going.
You always have your annoying voice going.
How are you, Andrea?
I'm awesome. I'm glad to be chatting with you guys again.
Well, we love to have you chat with us.
Thanks. What's the topic of the night from here on out?
Well, we're going to cover a Rooster article here. Rooster wrote another good article this week that we want to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, Rooster's in the chat room, and he says hello to you. And then
cool.
we're
I couldn't get in the chat room. I tried.
Yeah, well, it's full with 5 or 6 people.
It's standing room only. Put me in the mosh pit.
It never ends around here. We're just, a cornucopia of excitement. And then we'll probably discuss Anderson Cooper taking Wasserman Schultz to task a little bit on her comments in the L.A. Times, or the misquoting of her comments in the L.A. Times.
She doesn't do that, does she?
Well, she apparently does.
Oh.
So we're going to talk about that. Is there something you would like to talk about?
No, it's all about you guys. I'm just glad to be along for the ride for a few minutes.
That's what we try to make it is all about us. That's why we do this show. Why would you have a radio show where you expect people to call in and listen and waste their time with us if you're not a little bit self-centered?
No, we're a lot self-centered though. That's
yeah. No, we are completely self-centered. It's pretty rough. So
me. That's your favorite song.
How do you know that's my ringtone too? So why don't you stay on the line? We'll pick up on. We're going to keep you live, and then we'll talk about the next article and get your comments on it.
Awesome.
And I'm going to send it over to Clint to bring up Rooster's next.
I'm looking at sports scores. What do you mean you're going to send it over to me? Seriously?
I have to deal with this every day. Every day, Andrea. You know, it's almost. Let me put it this way. If you went to a house every single day and the guy was like, "I'm going to give you $1 million," and you open the door and instead of $1 million, he punched you in the face. So the next day he's like, "No, now follow my logic. I'm serious today. I was having a bad day yesterday. $1 million. All you have to do is show up my door. You knock on that door. He opens it the next day, punches you in the face. Would you go back the third day?
Well, it depends on if I would go back, but I would have some protective covering over my skull. Just in case there might be an offering.
Or a gun.
I go back over and over and over again, and I have no protection at all. My face looks like a punching bag.
Well,
don't be so hard on yourself.
There's got to be a prophylactic for your head that you can wear for protection. So.
It's called a sack. That's our
sack head.
There you go. Either that or you just called him a name that I can't repeat right now, which is awesome. Because the prophylactic goes over his
more
head.
importantly, she should be coming with the food that forbids me from breathing. Either way, I'm kind of insulted.
No, that is
I'll
so
keep
awesome.
it rated G. Sorry, guys. I'll keep it rated G. Sorry.
Oh no, you don't have to. We'll put the
disclaimer on.
Yeah, we're
not afraid. We only get afraid when Rooster calls in. That's the only time we get nervous.
That makes sense.
Were you able to hear the last segment, Andrea?
No, just the tail end of it.
Okay. What do you think about? Well, first of all, what do you think about Romney's choice of VP running as a running mate?
Well, at first I wasn't completely 100% on board because, like a lot of people, I kind of had bought into this notion that we really, needed somebody to help deliver a minority vote as well as help deliver a swing state. So I was with a lot of people thinking that we really had to have Rubio, and I had kind of lost sight of the fact that the wisdom of Ryan, which is a governing choice as opposed to an electoral vote choice. And I think what it did was it forced the dialogue to get back over into a governing, discussion. And, Rubio is so young, and it would have been, considered, I think it could have been spun as pandering, and he didn't, we could have had the Palin thing with not that experience. 14 years in Congress, there's nobody who knows more about how to tackle the biggest issue we have facing our country, which is debt and spending. There is nobody who knows that better than Paul Ryan, and I absolutely
agree.
think it was a brilliant choice.
And he's got a great personality, and he's an attractive guy. And I think he brings that to the table that Romney doesn't bring in that. Romney's personality, he's not a real big, high-energy guy to be able to hang with Obama, who's very charismatic, also a good-looking guy. He's one of the cool kids. That's not Romney. And I think Ryan balances some of that out because Paul Ryan brings some of that energy. He brings that charisma. He's able to go out and talk to the folks without a teleprompter, very knowledgeable on the issues, and actually has a plan to bring out. So I think he brings a lot to the table.
Right, absolutely.
Well,
and
Andrea,
I think that they just need to keep showing, on the video screens at the RNC convention, all kinds of shots of him in board shorts with no shirt. Because I don't know if you guys saw that pic. But there was some magic going on there, okay? He was far better looking than Obama ever was.
That's exactly what I was just going to ask you. How does this, if you're a conservative gal, which you are, are the conservative women now glad to finally see a young, good-looking, handsome guy who's going to be at the forefront of the party?
Yeah.
And by that he means Stackhead Clint, so...
Yeah. Who's running in 2015 for some reason.
Right.
We don't know why Clint's going to the 2015 election, but he is. So, yeah, no,
well,
I really think, I thought about that the other night, and I asked a female friend of mine who's also conservative, I said, do you think that's going to change some maybe independent women who are like, hey, you know what, not only is he smart, he seems to know what he's talking about. Yeah, he might be a little bit more conservative, but damn it, he's good looking.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of the total package. Listen to that. Can you say that again? Because I think that sums up how a lot of conservative gals are saying about him. So he's kind of the total package in that regard. Do you agree?
Well, he is. Yeah, he absolutely is. He's kind of the dreamboat guy that when you're a young girl, you hope to grow up someday and marry a guy like that, But let's not also forget our log cabin Republicans. There might be, some dudes out there saying, this guy's kind of yummy. So, I think he's attractive, to a lot of people out there. But seriously, I do think that he helped, deliver the women vote. And, I think there's a myth out there that the Democrats, have all the women, including the single women, locked in. And I don't think that's true at all.
I don't think so either.
Right. I think that's one reason why they've tried to latch on to this Aiken thing so much is because I think they fear how much Ryan can attract the young single woman, which they think that, they thought that they had, solidly, in their corner as a voting bloc.
Why do you think that the Republicans are not performing as well as they should be when you look at the economy and you look at the failed policies and the things the Obama administration has done? Why do you think that Romney is not performing better?
A couple of things. I think that there's still too many Americans who are either so busy trying to feed their families, trying to, get their work done and get their kids to school and come home and pay their bills, that they don't have enough time to really sift through the truth as to, what each, plan is and, what everybody's about. And, most families, if they're lucky, or parents, they can turn on maybe a 30-minute news program and hope that they've gotten, the information that they need. And, of course, you and I know that that's not the case. And so,
right.
Even the people who want to be informed don't necessarily have the time or they think they're being informed when they're not. And then we've also got a huge part of the country that just doesn't even bother, to get, informed on the issues. That's part of the problem, and I also think that Romney, if I had an opportunity to give advice to the Romney campaign, I'd pull a little bit from my sales background, and I would say one of the things that we were taught at Xerox and some, top sales organizations I worked at is that you got to make somebody feel the pain, okay? You got to make them feel the pain of what they're experiencing in order for them to buy into what your solution is. And I don't think that Romney and Ryan have really yet explained to America really what the fallout's going to be if Obama gets reelected. They've got to paint that picture for Americans in a way that they can understand. You reelect Obama, and here's what's going to happen. The debt's not going to be dealt with. The entitlement is not. There's not going to be entitlement reform, and here's how it's going to hurt you. And if you elect us, here's what we're going to do, and here's how we're going to make it better.
I agree with you, and I think the debt clock should be on almost every single one of their political ads. They start with that debt clock, and they show how much debt and how much money that the Obama administration has single-handedly spent and piled on top of our country, and where we're going to be, and actually project that out. Because when you show that raw data, and I don't, maybe I've just missed it, but I haven't seen any political ads that have done that. I think if you show that raw data, I think that'd be a powerful message. I mean, it's not one of those emotional tug on the heartstrings message that maybe resonates with people, but it's cold hard numbers that are continuously counting down, and you run that in an ad along with the figures that Obama spent, and I think most Americans would look at that and be like, wow, we really are on an unsustainable course. I think, these dollar figures get thrown out, trillions and billions, and I don't think a lot of people have a concept as to what that really is. I mean, $1 trillion, how much is that? What does that look like? What does that even mean? It becomes abstract.
Well, and
right.
part of me,
and that's excuse me for interrupting, and that's why it is, because it is abstract. They need to clearly define what it's going to feel like to an American when it is no longer sustainable. There's going to be a crash. How is that going to impact every American? That's what they've got to get people to understand, because otherwise it's just background noise. The $16 trillion. What does that really mean? You got people like Bob Beckel going on Fox News and saying, "Oh, the debt doesn't mean anything." That's
their thought, though. I mean, that's what they believe. They believe that debt doesn't mean anything because we're America. We can print money. We're a superpower. It doesn't affect us. Well, yeah, it does. I mean, just because we're America, the laws of economics still affect us. The laws of physics still affect us. The laws of nature. It's funny
how we can be affected by the same thing the rest of the world can be affected by. Bizarre how it doesn't just skip over us.
Yeah, it's almost like what if Newton's theories only applied in Europe and they didn't apply here?
Well, and the thing is,
what if gravity just didn't apply here? That would be fun. Never mind. Forget I said anything.
And if you just tune in on the phone with us right now is Andrea Kaye. She's the co-host of Becker and Kaye on 1510 in San Diego.
She's the smart one.
She's
yes.
Really like her. The other thing that I wanted to on why they don't go after the money as much is Romney's automatically tied in as this wealthy, out of touch, has more money than he knows what to do with type of guy. And I wonder if they're staying away from the money because they don't want to open that door.
But you know what? Oh, yes.
But that's his money, and I agree. That's his money.
Okay.
He made it. I have no problem with that. But they're gonna do exactly what the left always does. They're going to exploit half-truths, full-blown lies, alternate realities.
Okay, how about this? It's like a Star Trek episode. But how about this?
The last 4 years have been like a terrible.
We have Romney, who's rich, out of touch with the American working class, and has been in politics and so forth. But then on the other side, you have a president who is rich, out of touch with America's culture and founding principles. And I mean, so, okay, you have two parties who are out of touch. If Obama wants to paint Romney as an out of touch rich white guy, why not paint him as an out of touch socialist, somebody who has no idea what our founding principles are, ideals are, and this is somebody who's supposedly a constitutional scholar.
Yeah,
and he's rich too. I mean, his house in Chicago was that he got that through that bad deal with Resco worth close to $2 million. I mean, it ain't like, you know, he came to D.C. from the Poe House. You know,
yeah, but that's okay because he didn't build it.
What's that?
I said it's okay how much it's worth because he didn't build it. Somebody else did.
Oh, this is true. Hey, you know,
I love how I can apply that to so much.
Well, you know, yeah, I mean, it's the gift that keeps on giving. But I think that, you know, I don't think Romney should, you know, I think he should embrace his success, and I'm hoping that they're going to have a video of his story, going back to his college days with Ann, where they were living in a little tiny apartment and, you know, living off of, you know, very little income, you know, during the college years and starting their businesses together. And he is a self-made man, and that is his traditional American dream. And I'm hoping he embraces it and shares that story because,
absolutely.
You know what I mean? Instead of hiding from it. And, you know, and I think he should have gotten the taxes, you know, his tax returns out there a while ago, and you know, he's going to release them in October. We'll have to see what happens. You know, I think he needs to just do a little bit better job of not being embarrassed by it and just in embracing it and explaining to America why it's good and how they can do it too.
Absolutely. You run a spot. Hey, you know what? The Obama administration paints me as this rich white guy out of touch. Let me tell you my life story. Here's how I came up. Here's where I was working. Here was our finances at the time. Here's where we are now.
Right.
They should hire you.
Yeah, Andrea, I think you missed your calling. You should be a political strategist.
You can help me on my campaign.
Yeah, when we do
sure.
2015, you can be the campaign manager.
Yeah, because you're going to be my media person, Sean.
And then I absolutely would put you up against Axelrod in a second.
You know what? That Hamburglar, he'd be going down. He would. But you know what? I really want. Isn't he? Oh, isn't he? But he's totally the Hamburglar. But I tell you who I really want to take down. I really want to take down that Sally Cohen from Fox. I don't know if you know who she is. 100 pounds on me, but I think I can take her. Sally Cohen.
Oh yes.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I can take her.
Listen, you.
And if not, then maybe Sarah Palin and I can tag team her. You guys, I think you guys were talking about Sarah Palin earlier.
Well, yeah, and let's ask your opinion on that. With Mitt Romney getting should he reach out to Sarah Palin and try to get that endorsement?
I think he should. You know, I understand why they want to have, you know, some new voices at the convention. They want to put Chris Christie forward because he can be their attack dog, and he's, you know, he can say things and get away with things that, you know, others can't. But, you know, picking Paul Ryan helped him engage the Tea Party, but the real head of the unofficial head of the Tea Party, we all know it's Sarah Palin. And, you know, I think absolutely she should be there. She should be, you know, if not the keynote speaker, she should be, you know, have a prominent role. And, you know, I'm still a big fan of hers, and I think people love her for a reason because you know, she's the anti-Julia. You know, she's a conservative woman who gets it, who understands, you know, what makes this country great. And she still speaks to a lot of people. Why hide her? You know, bring her out, you know?
Well, and Rooster actually had a good question in the chat room, and if I'm wrong, Rooster, sorry, this is the question you're asking anyways. You know, is she laying low and kind of staying away so she can open up a run for herself in 2016 if this doesn't go through?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think if she was going to make a run for it, I think she might have done it this year. I think she was, you know, taking the temperature, and I personally think that she's decided not to run for president. That's my personal take on it. I think that she believes that she's got a powerful voice that she can use. I think that the media did such a job on her, and McCain held her back, that her unfavorables are still so high that it's really out of reach for her, you know, for a long, long time, I think. But she's got such a powerful voice, and she just has an ability to speak to people because she's not Nancy Pelosi. She's not, you know, DWS. You know, she's a real woman.
She's not either one of them, thank goodness.
Do you think she's looking to maybe head up a split party or a Tea Party to become a true political party?
I think she understands that, it's almost impossible to truly start a third party. I think that where she sees her role is going around to, helping us take the Senate, helping us take the Congress, backing certain candidates. When you guys said it earlier, when she makes an endorsement, it means something to people. They should have gone with her suggestion down in Missouri instead of this clown Aiken. And then I think we'd be in a better position with that. What's your guys' take on Aiken?
I think he's a knucklehead.
Yeah, I just think he didn't think before he spoke.
Yep, I think he is. I think he should get out of the race.
Yeah.
He's being called on to get out of the race. You can try and walk that statement back, but if you don't say something like
Unless
that.
Unless you're Debbie Wasserman Schultz, you can't get away with just walking stupid statements back.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Because nobody's going to let you. But
Joe Biden.
That's a pretty insensitive, idiotic thing to say.
Right.
For anybody in office. And I'll tell you, as a Republican, I don't know that I'd vote for the guy. I may just stay home.
Yeah.
If I were living in that part of the country.
Well, and it's one of those things to me. It was stupid when he came out of his mouth. The fact that he came out later and tried to fix it, and he tried to walk it back, and he didn't. But getting away with how stupid of a statement it was, and if he believes that for whatever reason, then at least we all know it now. It's better than not knowing. But the thing that killed me is less than 6 days earlier, Biden made his comment about
chains. And the left and the mainstream media downplayed that and rolled it back as quick as humanly possible. Like they just absolutely he wasn't talking about black people putting black people back in chains. He was talking about finances and all the other hogwash that they came up with, which we covered earlier tonight. Even Charlie Rangel said no, he was talking about putting black people in chains and he's stupid. But that's not a direct quote, but in essence.
I summed it up. I didn't have it in front of me anymore. And that's from Charlie Rangel, who's an old Democrat who's
a wingnut also.
Yeah, a little bit of a wingnut himself. But they ran that back as quick as humanly possible.
Well, here's the thing.
With this, they exploit it, and if they try to walk it back, well, no, you can't walk a statement like that back. Really,
it's a double standard. You have a Democrat that makes a clear race parallel, a clear race statement, and they give him a complete pass. Yet you have somebody. I heard a comment because Romney told the president to stop the angry rhetoric, and this person said, "Well, when I hear that, he's obviously calling him an angry black man."
Yeah.
What? Huh? What? Yeah, he can't be angry because. Okay, so how racist is that? He can't be angry and have that emotion because he's black. He's automatically calling him an angry black man. That's not the case. Yet your guy can call
that's
somebody.
That's why he explicitly says rhetoric.
Right. Yeah. You're angry
just
rhetoric.
Stop being black and angry. He said stop the rhetoric when it comes to the campaign. That's a pretty legitimate statement when you're running for office.
And so how that double standard is just.
It's funny. Speaking of media. Go ahead, Andrea. No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, but, all these guys have to know that double standard exists, and they got to know that when they're a pro-life candidate, they're going to be asked this question. It's a trap. They're going to be asked the question, what about rape and incest? I mean, come on. You got to have an answer prepared that's better than, well, there's legitimate rape. Come on, man. You can't have a better answer than that at the ready. What are you doing in the race, okay?
And you shouldn't have to think about that answer. To be honest, that's not an answer you should have to ever think about. And again, maybe it is a little bit of a gift in disguise, so to speak, because who knows? Maybe that's really how he thinks, and he slipped up, and it was kind of like the whatever the case may be, it was dumb.
It was, and you know what? I don't believe somebody with that opinion or that outlook needs to be in politics
at all.
It's 12:30. Let's take a break.
All right,
and then we'll come back. We'll get that other Rooster article going. You mind hanging on, Andrea?
No, sure, I'm here.
Awesome.
Right on.
We're gonna put you on hold. We'll be back in a minute. Hey, Bob's in the chat room. Great.
Hey, Bob, welcome back. Missed you last week.
Rooster are just going nuts in there. So we'll see everyone in a minute.
Sarcasm Radio.
Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. We're fortunate enough to have our friend Vanessa do our news briefs. If you like her news briefs, she is a voiceover talent. Check out Platinum Vocal Cords. She has over 15 years radio and voiceover experience. Graduated Northwestern State University with a liberal arts degree. Don't let that scare you, folks. She is a true sackhead. Please check her out. Again, that's PlatinumVocalCords.com. Thank you.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I want to talk to you a minute about our friends over at HomefrontHugs.com. They're an amazing organization of volunteers who take their time, effort, and money to take care of our troops overseas as they serve our great nation. HomefrontHugs.com. You can donate, write letters to troops, adopt a troop, you name it, you can do it. Help those wonderful folks who protect our freedoms. Go to HomefrontHugs.com. Tell them Sackheads Radio sent you.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I know I've said it before. Check out our friends at conservativeoutcry.net, but I really mean it. If you want interesting and exciting political commentary and analysis, that is the place to get it. Different, always spot on, always truthful, never pulling a punch. conservativeoutcry.net. Tell Rooster to get Bulldog back on and that Sackheads Radio sent you. And also, coming soon, the Sackheads Radio Forum on conservativeoutcry.net.
Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank all the wingnut leaders throughout the world to give our men and women of the armed forces a job, as well as all the anarchists, terrorists, and Occupy folks that give our men and women in uniform on the home front, firefighters, law enforcement personnel, and first responders, job security here in the States as well. So thank all you wingnuts out there. This is Sackhead Clint saying have a good day.
Due to the graphic nature of this program, listener discretion is advised.
3, 2.
I love how you're still doing the countdown. Even though we discussed previously, it's completely unnecessary.
Hey, now welcome back, our true professionals, Sean.
And we are live back here with Andrea Kaye from Becker and Kaye in San Diego, who called in tonight so graciously. She's on 1450 and 1510 down there, financialnewsandtalk.com. You can listen to the show live anywhere via the interwebs. Is that right, Andrea?
That's right.
Awesome.
And
Thanks for having me on tonight.
She's the one we like to listen to.
Yeah, exactly. If you have to listen, when you listen to the show, half the show is right.
Now, Andrew, have you read Nudge yet?
No, I haven't. I'm so glad you mentioned that because I forgot all about it. I promise this week I'll go out and get it.
Okay.
I
want to get to...
That was my homework assignment, and I failed.
It was. That's okay.
And the phone number, if anyone else wants to call in, 347-205-9399. I'm just going to try to work in between you and Andrea having your conversation. I'll try to throw stuff.
Well, no, because we're going to get to this other article that Rooster wrote that I think is pretty good. And the name of the article, again, it's on conservativeoutcry.net, is South Carolina Tea Party declares local government null and void. Now, this did not actually happen. It's Rooster, but the premise of the article is actually interesting, and I'm going to quote the article, so I'm hoping I'm giving proper credit here. If I'm not, I'm sorry, you can't sue me for anything anyways, because I have nothing to give you, so that's awesome. This show doesn't make any money. And good luck trying to find out who I am. So it says, think about this, a future insurrection of, quote, Tea Party activists in South Carolina. As the scenario goes, the Tea Party group stages a takeover of the town of Darlington, South Carolina. The mayor is placed under house arrest and prevented from exercising his duties. The police chief, county sheriff, and other law enforcement officials are removed from office and told not to interfere. The city council is dissolved. Governor of the state, who had previously expressed solidarity with Tea Party goals, does little to address the situation. A news conference is called by town leaders, all Tea Party activists, who tell the media that due to the failure of central government to address the concerns of the citizens, the Declaration of Independence has been reimposed and the local government has been declared null and void. Now, interesting. First of all, there's one flaw with this premise, and that other law enforcement officials are removed from office and told not to interfere. I think that most law enforcement officials are probably sympathetic to the Tea Party. I could be wrong, but I know a couple of them, and Sean and I have had this conversation before. I know you have a couple people that you know in law enforcement, and we have discussions with them. I'm not pretending to know everything of how law enforcement thinks, but
Just the discussions I've had with a couple of them, they seem to be pretty conservative folks for the most part. But it's interesting because what the article goes on to state is it talks about the president invoking the Insurrection Act, which allows the military to quote restore order.
Everyone restore order at this moment.
Yeah, it'd be horrible. The Insurrection Act first came about in 1807, and it governs the president's ability to deploy troops within the United States in order to put down insurrection and rebellion.
I believe they call it martial law now.
I don't know who Marshall is. Wasn't that the school? Isn't there like a football movie?
Martial law school.
But the United States Code does have sections that deal with martial law or the Insurrection Act. In 2006, the Insurrection Act was modified as part of the 2007 Defense Authorization Bill, which was again repealed in 2008. But what it extended the president's ability to employ armed forces, including the National Guard, in cases of domestic violence and suppress state insurrection, domestic violence, so forth. However, the new wording allows natural disaster or epidemic, public health emergencies, terrorist attack or terrorist incident, or
jaywalking, unlicensed driver.
No left side mirror.
Which is
container.
why LA wants to give
open container.
Yeah. Which is why LA wants to give all the illegal immigrants driver's licenses so they don't fall into this. But go on. They're just trying to stop martial law from coming.
And I don't know who martial law is, but nobody wants martial law to come.
If I was from a different country, you wouldn't be making fun of my accent.
Yeah, I would. Yes, I would. My family were immigrants here too. So the interesting point is, and it kind of, Obama has already made huge grabs of power through executive orders and through appointments made while Congress was supposedly in recess, even though they weren't really. But okay, and he made a couple recess appointments. If he's going to, if he
did it during lunch breaks,
if he's facing the potential ability to lose power, and the act is pretty broad, I would like to think that he would not enact this provision. But given his power grab and the people he's surrounded himself with and his vision for America, I'm a little bit scared in the back of my mind that he would enact this in order to stop a new president from taking office and to seize power. Now, the one thing about this is I believe that there would be, and Rooster touches on it in his article, and I agree, I believe there are some military leaders, much like in the Civil War where you had United States military leaders like Robert E. Lee who split and joined the other side. I would like to think that there would be military leaders who would recognize the power grab for what it would be and would leave. But I think it poses an interesting question and it's kind of diverting from Rooster's article here a little bit. I almost don't trust him not to enact this. I don't think he would. I don't believe he would. But I have that one little nagging question in the back of my head just based upon his associations and his beliefs.
Which is, what are you going to have for breakfast tomorrow?
What am I going to have for breakfast tomorrow?
Is that the nagging question you have in your head?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm done. I have nothing else to say. You just completely... Hey, how's Boston doing?
Yeah.
That's all I have to say on that.
Well, how about that, Andrea? Let's get your reaction.
Well, I was just going to say that when you start to think about the second and third level implications of some of his executive orders, and you start thinking about it and you start expressing it out loud, people go, "Oh, you're like a truther, come on, you're crazy." But we had an instance where Republican Rudy Giuliani got extra time as mayor because the argument was after 9/11 that things were so traumatic that for stability, Rudy needed to stay in office. So, this certainly does pave the way for Obama if there was any type of what he felt was instability or necessity for him to stay in office. It certainly paves the way for that. So I don't think that it's so far-fetched given the fact that, he ain't going to go without a fight. It's not far-fetched, to think that that's a possibility.
Well, I think anything's on the table with this guy, especially in the next 4 years. And I know that may sound a little conspiracy theorist, but he's given me no reason to trust him. And between the power grabs that we talked about here, and then we talked about a bill that he signed last week, just the things that he's done, centralizing healthcare, turning that into obviously a social event. He's trying to get everybody relying on government, and then at that point, he doesn't have to declare martial law because the government's already in control. So if he can keep pushing that, people are already going to be so dependent, it's not going to matter. That's my rebuttal. Now, I'm going to give the rebuttal of the author of that article, and I'm going to bring him on right now to talk to us. Rooster, you're on the air. Be nice because Andrea is here.
Andrea, hello.
Hey, Rooster. How you been?
I'm doing great. Clint, you surprised me.
Oh,
first,
what do I surprise you about?
First, that's not the article I thought you were going to go to.
So he did surprise him.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I thought you were going to go to my third-party article from today.
I saw that one, but I wanted to talk about this other one first because it grabbed my interest. It really did. I read that first part, that scenario that played out, and my head literally spun in about a bunch of different directions, and one was the fact of, hey, what would happen if the Tea Party did that? But the second one was, wow, this act could really be used a lot of different ways. I mean, what if he tries to run for another term, even though it's prohibited at this point in the Constitution? What if he tries to stay power? My mind went a bunch of different directions based on that article, so I wanted to talk about that one.
Well, you read the article exactly the way it was intended to be read. I mean, I have no rebuttal. That's what I was trying to say in the article. What was interesting, and I don't have my notes, meaning I can't get to my blog post right now because my website just crashed, or the left just took me down, one of the two, which I wouldn't be surprised. That scenario was actually written by a man who's now teaching at the General War College.
Interesting.
And it makes you wonder if that's the type of stuff that's being taught to our generals and our majors and colonels.
Well, I have no doubt that there is a scenario in place to deal with insurrection in the United States.
But it wasn't
and that the military is training for that.
Yeah, they've always trained for that, and I am ex-military, but they've never trained for the Tea Party.
But you know what else is they haven't trained in an urban environment like they've been training now either.
Yeah, they've been doing that a lot.
They have look at the facilities that are out there to train soldiers in urban combat techniques and close quarter battle techniques and close quarter combat techniques and everything that's coming out today. And there, I think, you have a lot of it has to do with the wars that's being fought overseas, and they're going to have to clear these structures and so forth overseas. But some of these facilities are not set up how little shanty towns that they're running across in Afghanistan and Iraq. They're set up almost like U.S. cities.
Well, and a prime example is about 3 weeks ago I read an article that, and I forget, it may have been from the Blaze, I don't remember. In Massachusetts, down by Mansfield, I believe it was, which is it's a smaller city. It's more of a town than a city. They did this huge military exercise at about 9:30 at night, where they ran in all these Black Hawk helicopters. They landed. They did a school response. They used the school but they didn't tell anybody, and it just showed up. At first, it scared the hell out of all the residents because they were flying.
They thought Red Dawn was happening.
Yeah, I mean, they were flying Black Hawks everywhere, and But the fact that they were using an American city, they were using it at night, they were using an American school, that's scary to me.
You know what? I don't necessarily have a problem with that because I don't know the motivation behind the exercise. And what if they figured, hey, this is a terrorist attack at this location, or hey, this is a hey, we've been invaded. Now, they should have.
Right.
They should have. We're going to be running an exercise here just in case.
And they checked with a lot of people, and even 911 calls were placed in the local police department, and I don't know how their 911's routed. I don't know if he
pissed himself and he went and got a cup of coffee?
Pretty much. They weren't aware of what was going on, or they weren't able to say. So when they do things like that, it raises suspicion. And it raised my suspicion right away, because I'm saying, hey, why do you have to try it on a medium-sized town, semi-rural, and you use the school? There are plenty of abandoned schools. There are plenty of places where you can announce it and say, hey, nobody's allowed to go near town XYZ, the old school on the East End, on this night. We're going to be doing a joint terrorism, which they do. They announce when they do these big terrorism exercises, but it's not usually military involved. It's usually local first responders, state, county.
Because that's who would be dealing with the initial threat.
Right. So when it's a military exercise, and it was the military eventually came out.
What branch, do you know?
I believe it was the Army.
Okay.
They came out and apologized and said, you're right, we should have planned that better. Listen, this isn't the first
We're
time.
sorry, we forgot we work for you.
This isn't the first time that you're planning an exercise. It's not like this is a new thing for you. You should know that you have to notify. So when they do things like that, it does cause...
so do you give the military... Because you and I are big supporters of the military and our men and women in uniform.
Absolutely.
So do you give them a pass and say, you know what, maybe somebody forgot to make a phone call?
I don't give the administration a pass. I give the soldiers training a pass. The ones that are on the helicopter who all that other stuff should have been taken care of.
Right.
Yeah, I give them a pass because they're just training and that's what they do. And right, wrong, or indifferent, if somebody said, hey...
I choose indifferent.
Huh? Okay,
you gave me a choice.
The guy that didn't care was like, hey, I'm just going to go train here anyway.
Right.
But just like they did, and I don't know what level of special forces they were, but it was special forces training. But they did with the Bin Laden raiders, they didn't tell those SEALs when they were training who they were going for. It wasn't until they were wheels up, ready to go, they said, oh, by the way, you're going to get Bin Laden. They just knew that they had it. So I understand when they get told, hey, you're going to go training, you go train. That's just what you do. The administration I have the issue with. They should know better. And that's what causes people to go, a little nervous, a little bit suspicious of what's going on.
Well, you guys are out in California, so you're pretty safe right now. I'm here behind enemy lines. Just look for the signs on the walls that say Wolverines and, Roosters out and about here and there.
He's in the belly of the beast.
Yeah, I think down here in San Diego, we got some military people down here that, they'll be with
Devil dogs.
They'll be with the citizens here. They won't be with the government.
Well, and that's a good point. That's why I was going to ask you. Down in San Diego, you have a lot of military folks down there. Do they run exercises like that, seeing how it's so close to, you have, I think, 2 air bases and a Marines base right there?
Yeah, we have 4 or 5 installations here. We don't have Top Gun here anymore. That left. But one of the things that we have is Stu Siegel, who used to produce TV shows like Pensacola and Silk Stockings and Veronica Mars. He's turned his studio into a training ground for hand-to-hand urban combat like they had over in Iraq. It's like it looks like a mini Baghdad where they do train, and they do a lot of training exercises there.
Which is totally makes sense to me.
Right, and but in terms of, these rumors that we've heard about Russians and UN soldiers and other people coming here and doing training exercises, I don't know if anybody can corroborate those stories. What have you guys heard on that?
Well, I can tell you that I sat in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, with several Korean soldiers.
Really? Did you know I was born in Lejeune?
I mean, they do it all the time. And then and down in not North Korean, South Korean. They were Allied soldiers.
Oh.
I don't know if Russians would do it, but they train other armies all the time here.
Well, yeah, we do that constantly.
They go through our sniper schools and they go through Ranger training.
Well, then how do we protect our secrets? How do we protect our secrets when we're bringing, other, military people over here?
Well, because they get to know what the government wants them to know versus what we have and use, and I think it also kind of keeps them at bay because you know what their top tier training is. But like I said, to get back to kind of what we were talking about, it bothers me that the military is not just doing training exercises to help them with their conflicts abroad, but they're doing specific training exercises in cities in America that are American-style cities. It's not like if we had a replica of Pyongyang somewhere in the Midwest, and they're like, hey, we're going to do an exercise on Pyongyang because someday we may end up there. Okay, I get that. But to go to, like, in this case, I think it was Mansfield, Massachusetts. There was another one in the Midwest that was done. That's bizarre to me. Rooster, have you heard of anything like that before? You were in the military.
No, I've never taken part of anything like that before, and never heard of it. That wasn't what bothered me about that article. I'm a big Tea Party guy, and what bothered me was the use of the word Tea Party. I mean, they specifically identified the Tea Party as the group that they were afraid of. The Tea Party rising up and trying to take over. Yeah.
No, well, they won't do Occupy because that would look bad. And then the administration would have to come out and actually take a stance on them instead of being indifferent or supportive. Yeah, well, that's a little scary that they would actually pick a specific group. And I've never been, but I'm pretty sure that their normal status quo on that is to make up a fake group that they would be responding to. Am I close?
Yeah.
So it would be a little bit more fictional.
They don't usually use the name,
Yeah, but this administration is the one who put that together. The generals under this administration, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
the story. I simply saw the story and who it was written by, and I'd read it maybe a week before I wrote the blog post, and I honestly was just looking for something to write, but it's
well. Let's take this a step further, Rooster. You have, let's say, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and I can only imagine people listening to the show later on what they're going to say about what I'm about to pose, but just.
Oh, like that matters.
I know. Just a thought. Just what happens if. So you have the federal government who, let's say, they would invoke the Insurrection Act. Now you have a governor who calls out the National Guard. That we know is not militia. So now you have a state, in opposition to the federal government. We have what's starting to shape up as a civil war. You have states starting to align themselves, certain National Guard youths forming up with regular military, other National Guard coming to the aid of the state that's under attack, certain full-time military units breaking off and joining. Now you have the militia. And the militia, we know, are the people themselves. There's those of us that know history and research any of this kind of stuff related to the Second Amendment. And they define the militia, a quote, the militia, when properly formed, are in fact the people themselves, all men capable of bearing arms. And Tench Coates, who was a delegate to the Constitutional Congress, I think out of Pennsylvania, he has a great quote. It says, "Who are the militia? Are they not ourselves? It's feared then that we shall turn our arms, each man against his own bosom. Congress shall have no power to disarm the militia. Their swords and every other terrible implement of the soldier are the birthright of an American. An unlimited power of the sword is not in the hands of either the federal or state governments, but where I trust in God, it will ever remain in the hands of the people." So now you have the militia, the armed citizenry, which we still have the right to keep and bear arms in this country. So you have an armed populace who are going to be involved. And you have a militia by very definition. Nobody has the authority to order a militia to surrender, to disarm or disband. And there are some other key points of that. So, clearly by definition they're not National Guard, but now they're going to get involved in this fight. Do you see? What I'm getting at is, I think if that Insurrection Act is ever imposed, I think you're going to see civil war in this country. And I pray that's not
where
the case.
I was going. That's exactly where I was going with the article, and I tried to say all of what you just said in that last sentence of the article.
Yeah, and I think that last sentence kind of walks you down that road, and I think somebody has to, I'm kind of patting myself on the back here, but I think somebody has to be astute enough to follow that to its logical conclusion, and I assumed you had, but I wanted to talk about it because it's interesting if you walk that article all the way through to the end and the different scenarios that can play out.
And you were right earlier that I wrote that with someone in mind, and it was you.
See, I knew you loved me. The thing
well, no,
is,
actually, I sent that to Sean, I think, and I told Sean this will get Clint going.
Well, you were right. I think a second Obama term actually brings that closer to happening. Again, I pray that's not the case. I hope that we don't go for another civil war, but we are so divided in this country right now, and I hate it. I want to see us come together, but we are so divided in this country. We can have different ideals and different ways to express it, but both sides are not, and by both sides I mean specifically the left is really nasty. I think that I fear for what could come about potentially from a second term in this country, and if the division increases and we stay on this path.
Yeah, but I don't think we're going to go down the path of civil war. I think we're going to go down the path of what I wrote about today, which is a third party's going to rise.
Let me ask you this: if we have an Obama second term, and you have the American government fundamentally transformed because of usurpation of constitutional authority by presidents, by executive order or whatnot, do you think that it's possible this country could get into a civil war? Do you think that we have maybe the beginnings of a perfect mix that could bring about another civil war?
Well, you had one start in 10 minutes in Egypt, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it doesn't take much. And if you think that we're immune to that here, you're wrong. It's not going to take much at all.
Everyone turns on the news and says, thank God that's going on in Egypt. But that would never happen here. And I said, well, there are people that at the end of the day, if it came down to standing by the Constitution and standing by our country and our values, there absolutely that could happen today. You do have those people that want to preserve what we have, and then you have those people on the other side that want to see it torn down as quick as possible. Occupy movement. Are you okay? You have something to say? Well, no, and I know we beat on the Occupy movement because it's fun and easy. But one of the reasons is, they align themselves with the anarchists. They themselves have called for the downfall. They follow the Piven movement. They very much are pushing for the side of it to fall apart and for the country to fall apart.
Well, yeah, they're anarchists.
Right. And you can say they're not anarchists, but anytime the anarchists are aligning with you, there's a reason for that. So that was a big movement.
Well, look at what they found out in Tampa.
Right.
They've got acid-filled eggs, and they
do that. You do it to me every time, Rooster. I'm about to bring something up, and all of a sudden you have your little ability to see into my tiny little brain. And, so in Tampa...
acid-filled eggs?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going home.
Your head is filled with acid-filled eggs? Okay.
Yes, his head is full of acid. I can vouch for that.
Why do I even bother to come here every week?
I ask you that every time.
In Tampa, right?
They've cleared the jail. They're ready.
Yeah.
And they're going to be there. Actually, what I thought was going to happen was Joe Biden was going to be down there and some fake protest was going to rile up and Joe's going to come out and say, hold on, and save the day.
Right. I saw you post that, and I thought that was actually a good idea, too, is that Uncle Joe would be like, hey, let them have it. This is part of democracy. We have to work together as a country, and they have the rights to their opinions, and blah, blah, blah. But what a lot of people might have missed, because mainstream media kind of dumped on this, too. They didn't really throw it out there as much. Just was it right across the street, correct me if I'm wrong? The building that it was all found on? Yeah, well.
Not at conservativeoutcry.net.
No shit. Even if I have to make the shit up.
Well, Citizens
you were
United.
so close, Rooster, to getting through a show without cussing.
Almost a whole show, Rooster. Here's what we're
Well,
do.
we're not allowed to cuss on the show?
No,
oh, of course you can.
You can. We try to avoid it. You try to avoid it just so it's a little family friendly.
You can, but Rooster will just go on. He'll throw out all kinds of
You know how
things.
many families are up at, 100 hours in the morning listening to our show? So it's a family show. They're all gathered around the computer just like, it's almost like a Dickens novel.
There are ones of people that did you say Dickens novel?
Yeah.
I was going to take that somewhere else.
So we're going to take a break
I've got
right
a
now.
question for Rooster. Oh, you're going to take a break? Okay.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Andrea.
Well, my question for Rooster is, there have been many attempts to get a third party going. whether it's the Green Party or whether it's, Ross Perot, with an independent party. What makes it different now, and how can it really, we're a two-party system. I'd like to hear, Rooster's take on a scenario of a rise of a third party.
Oh, well, I just wrote something on that.
Hey, Rooster,
I could walk you right down the line.
I'd love
to.
Go for it.
Go for it, my friend.
Do you want me to do it now, or do you want me to take a break?
Well, why don't we take a break?
Let's take a break and then do that.
That'll be a great idea. Let's take a break. Phone number is 347-205-9.
No, nobody call in. I want to hear this. We don't have time.
When we come back,
don't call in.
Rooster's response, Rooster from conservativeoutcry.net.
Hey, Clint.
And Andrea Kaye from... Oh, go ahead. No, you guys just interrupt. No, Clint's walking away. We're going to a commercial. We'll be back in a moment. It's a mess in here.
Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. We're fortunate enough to have our friend Vanessa do our news briefs. If you like her news briefs, she is a voiceover talent. Check out Platinum Vocal Cords. She has over 15 years radio and voiceover experience. Graduated Northwestern State University with a liberal arts degree. Don't let that scare you, folks. She is a true Sackhead. Please check her out. Again, that's PlatinumVocalCords.com. Thank you.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I want to talk to you a minute about our friends over at HomefrontHugs.com. They're an amazing organization of volunteers who take their time, effort, and money to take care of our troops overseas as they serve our great nation. HomefrontHugs.com. You can donate, write letters to troops, adopt a troop, you name it, you can do it. Help those wonderful folks who protect our freedoms. Go to HomefrontHugs.com. Tell them Sackheads Radio sent you.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I know I've said it before. Check out our friends at conservativeoutcry.net, but I really mean it. If you want interesting and exciting political commentary and analysis, that is the place to get it. Different, always spot on, always truthful, never pulling a punch. conservativeoutcry.net. Tell Rooster to get Bulldog back on and that Sackheads Radio sent you. And also, coming soon, the Sackheads Radio Forum on conservativeoutcry.net.
Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank all the wingnut leaders throughout the world, to give our men and women of the armed forces a job, as well as all the anarchists, terrorists, and Occupy folks that give our men and women in uniform on the home front, firefighters, law enforcement personnel, and first responders, job security here in the States as well. So thank all you wingnuts out there. This is Sackhead Clint saying have a good day.
Due to the graphic nature of this program, listener discretion is advised.
3, 2.
Sorry about that. You're still doing the countdown. As we discussed previously, that is completely unnecessary.
Hey, now welcome back, our two professionals.
You are back listening to Sackheads Radio. I don't even know why I have a microphone anymore. The phone number is 347-205-9399. We have Rooster, the extraordinaire from conservativeoutcry.net. Notice I didn't say what type of extraordinaire. And we also have Andrea.
You also didn't say what kind of rooster.
San Diego Decker and Kaye. It's 14. Andrea, what is it? It's 1410, right?
1450 in San Diego, 1510 in Orange County in the Inland Empires, and we stream at financialnewsandtalk.com.
All right, thank you. I wanted to make sure I got that semi-right. So, Andrea asked a
You blew it. Just so you know.
Andrea asked a question for Rooster, and Rooster's going to respond. So, Rooster, go.
All right. Well, first let me preface this by stating that I've been pretty harsh on Mitt Romney over the last couple of weeks. Number one,
yes, you have.
Yes, I have.
I don't think you've been hard enough.
He was not my choice as a nominee. I think Mitt Romney's a liberal. And I think what we've got now is a liberal. No, he wasn't. Is a liberal versus a liberal, but we won't get into that.
I think he's a progressive.
I think that Romney has taken something that was given to him on a silver platter and he's screwing it up. He should be up by 12 points now in the polls, and he's not. He's allowing Obama to set the rules, so to speak. And we're still talking about a war on women. We're still talking about a race war or whatever the hell's going on. We're talking about contraception. Everything that we should not be talking about now, we are talking about now.
We need to talk about
Romney,
a third party.
You want to talk about a third party?
Yeah, that was the question, Rooster.
I'm going there.
Okay.
All right,
I'm
and,
just
and part of
impatient.
that is, and
We
part
only
of
have
where
a 2-hour
I think
show, sir.
you've got time. Damn it!
You're so easily flustered. Haha.
All right, and part of my problem with Romney, and you actually asked Andrea about it earlier, was Sarah Palin. I think Romney has made a huge mistake with Sarah Palin not seeking her endorsement. I wrote an article about Ryan not being enough because Sarah is the leader of the Tea Party. Sarah's 4 for 4 this year in endorsements, and he should have gone to her. He's not going to her because of pride, because she hurt his feelings when she drove her bus up to Massachusetts that day, or New Hampshire. I don't know where it was.
I think it was New Hampshire.
Was it New Hampshire? Okay.
I think it was, yeah.
So today, and I don't know if you guys have read this yet, the Republican National Convention Rules Committee voted 63 to 38 to give Mitt Romney greater flexibility over the party's rules to adapt to changing political environments. And the article goes on to talk about it offering the Republican establishment a new tool to keep at bay Tea Party initiatives that threaten to embarrass or contradict party leadership and stray from a planned message. That bothered me. And
yeah, I did not read that. That's interesting, huh?
Yeah.
Well, it was in. You didn't read my article then.
I hadn't read your article.
Okay. And it's a direct swipe at the Tea Party, and it's going back to the debt ceiling debacle where the Tea Party were seen as the ones that were holding it up. When in essence all they were doing was what they told their constituents they would do, is not vote for more money.
Which, for whatever reason, and even some Republicans to a point, but the left finds that to be absolutely insane that they wouldn't raise the debt ceiling. But I digress. Go on.
Okay. So, I threw that into the article, and then I said, and you wonder why I've been so harsh on Mitt Romney lately. And it's because of things like this. He's made a big power grab today. You wonder why Sarah Palin and Ron Paul, with his pocket full of delegates, is not welcome at the convention. That's why.
It's a deep pocket. And I want to ask you about that, too, in a minute, so I'll let you go.
Third party.
I'm getting there.
Boys.
So when stuff like this happens, and Mitt clearly is trying to, it's the old guard. 2010's gone. Mitt's back. We're going to get back to some good old compassionate conservatism, and screw the Tea Party. I don't think that's going to go over well.
No, it's not.
I think the one thing that he has going for him right now.
Actually, I can send you. My website came up. I pulled that off of another site. I forget the name of the site, and my site literally has crashed now. I can't get on my website right now to quote the article. So I'm doing this all by memory right now. But
at 4 a.m., mind you, so you get credit.
Yeah. Are things really going to change?
Well, no. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Andrea. Do you have a response?
I mean, you got Mitt Romney, the liberal.
Do you think things are going to change?
Crap like this. Do you think things are going to change? He's got greater flexibility to amend the party's rules, which to me says greater flexibility to stray from the message or whatever their goals are for this term.
So, Well, and this could be what causes the branch of a third party, Andrea.
Well, that was that's the question, because there are people that are there are people that are fed up with both parties. There are people who understand that we're in the position we're in because of both parties.
Right.
That basically the Republicans are just Democrat light. The Republicans have been on board. We're in $16 trillion in debt due to both parties. But the Tea Party isn't a majority of Americans. So the rise of the Tea Party as a third party, they can't take power because they don't represent more than, they're not a majority. So that's my question in terms of how a third party can take rise.
Well, let me ask you this. If
you had 14 senators that could stop the bill from going through, right? The party doesn't have to be equal to the other two. It just has to have enough to stop the other two from what they're trying to do.
Well, and I think
the thing that's caused the problems that we have now is compromise. You've got somebody who's got a great idea.
Compromise.
You've got a great idea, but then somebody says, okay, well, we don't like this part of your idea, so let's put this in this, and we'll take this out, and we'll put this in. And now it's no longer a great idea.
Right.
It's
nobody's idea. It's a watered-down idea, and it's everybody's and nobody's all at once. Everyone wants to get their finger in it because it starts as a good idea, and by the time they get their little piece and everything, they've stripped it down past what it was or what it could have been and turned it into nothing.
Well, and there's
I don't even
also
know what you just said.
Well, but it's also part of this philosophy that they actually have to be doing something. Every time they do something, things get worse.
Yep.
Well,
but Rooster, that's what they do.
I think they've done too
Andrea.
much. Look at the regulations we have. Look at the tax code. Which is, everything is thousands and thousands and thousands of pages. It seems like every time they turn around, they're doing something. I think that they've done too much.
Have you ever read the Tea Party agenda?
What was that,
Have you ever read their agenda? They list out 12 things. Limited government. Stimulus spending should be considered illegal. It's against the law. They talk about illegal immigration. There's a 12-point platform in the Tea Party. And if you look at it, I guarantee you that you would say, I agree with every one of those.
I do.
And everybody in between, those 4 or 5 states on the East Coast and that big loony one on the West Coast, everyone in between, they believe too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the thing.
Those everyone in between, I think, is the Tea Party.
I was just about to say, I think that if the Tea Party really made a big push and a couple big-name, quote-unquote, Republicans left the Republican Party and went over to the official Tea Party, instead of being Tea Party Republicans, as some of them are now because they're afraid to get away from that giant R that helps push them, I think you would see a lot of voters really start to get on board with it. I think right now we get into the whole voting for an R because it's right. But I think you'll see it expand, and I think if somebody even, Sarah Palin, who I know we've talked about Sarah a lot tonight, if she went straight to the Tea Party versus having that Republican tag on her name, I think that would really start to ramp up the Tea Party. And like you said, it doesn't have to be equal; it just has to be enough. And I think there's enough going on. Same thing to a point with libertarians. I know it hurt us the last election.
We may get a chance to see what kind of pull she has because who's the guy out in Missouri, Aiken?
Yeah.
She's talking about doing a write-in campaign now.
Yeah.
With her candidate, Steelman, I think is her name. Well, I think you raise an interesting point, Rooster, because I think what's happened in the past is the push for a third-party candidate's been happening at the presidential race level as opposed to out in the communities at the district level, at the state legislature level. You know what I mean? And then building it, from individual districts to where, all you do need is 13 from around the country, and you can affect, you can affect legislation in D.C. So and I
you're
hadn't
slowly
really thought
getting
of it.
some.
Yeah.
Ted Cruz, and you could argue Ted Cruz was a third-party candidate.
Right.
Yeah.
And
but I'm wondering if
now
if
he's the
branding,
Republican because.
Right.
Go ahead.
Because he's got to blend in. He's got to have somebody to caucus with. He's got to have some. So but I'm also wondering if it shouldn't be branded differently because the media again has been successful in mischaracterizing who the Tea Party is and what they stand for.
Well, yeah, and that's what I'll tell you right now. The last thing the media would want is the Tea Party to rise, because you'd see a lot of people more so going to places that are considered quote unquote right media, beyond Fox News. I'm talking about like the Blaze,
Sackheads Radio,
Sackheads Radio,
Conservative Outcry,
ConservativeOutcry.net, Breitbart.com. All those things would really start to take off, and Becker and Kaye minus the Becker. All those other media outlets would start to take off, and the mainstream ones, MSNBC, NBC, all that, would really start to lose their listenership because now there'd be more people with another place to outlet their voice, And I think slowly but surely you're seeing these smaller websites and smaller news agencies come on. I know I Love Zoe's online, but I think that's part of the reason why they tamp it down, on top of the fact that they just swallow and love the left agenda all day long. And I joke all the time. I think all the left news and mainstream media, they're all fighting. So when we are finally a socialist country, they can all be the official state television. They're just proven they're the best, and they'll follow in the line the best.
Well, Andrea mentioned it.
The new Pravda.
She mentioned it earlier that. What was that?
No, go ahead.
That she mentioned earlier that she didn't. Are they really a majority? And and that's kind of the tone I've had for the last couple of weeks. I get upset when people are trying to count them out. I get upset when and Clint mentioned earlier he really loved the back and forth between me and Bulldog on that one that one post.
Yeah, the one you designed just to pull them out.
Yeah. What more do they have to prove? In 2010, the Tea Party and Tea Party alone, and when I say Tea Party, I say Sarah Palin because she was the only one out there stumping for these candidates after McCain fell and everybody was crying in their soup. She brought them back to relevance. She gave them the House. She gave them a voice. They didn't have one.
Right.
She turned the House over single-handedly to the Republicans. And this
she
year,
turned the House,
she's 4 for 4.
She did, but she also turned it over to serious conservatives who are also pose a wall or a line of defense against some of the progressive agendas that the more progressive Republicans want to push through. They're not going to go
not enough
just,
because they still went ahead and raised the debt limit, and they still went ahead and got something. This healthcare debacle passed. How they did that, I don't know. They still came up.
Healthcare was passed before the 2010 election.
Yeah.
Because that's when he lost it on healthcare. Yeah, that's when people were like,
yeah,
whoa,
but if they would have fought, that was the whole. What's his name up in was it New Hampshire, Massachusetts?
Scott Brown.
He could have held that up, and they went ahead and pushed it through before he got sworn in.
Yeah. Scott Brown's a disappointment to me.
Yeah, he's a disappointment to me too.
I mean, he's better than
they could have done something,
but not by much.
Yeah, seriously. But growing up in Massachusetts, I can tell you right now, there are people in Massachusetts who's like, my God, he's the most conservative thing that's ever walked the face of the planet. He's out of control on the right, and that's just in Massachusetts. He's pretty hardcore conservative.
Well, I guess I call them the mass holes. I guess for the mass holes, he's pretty conservative, but.
Hey.
No, that fits you. That fits you, John.
We only have a few.
Yeah, I remember
left.
sending. I sent John Boehner a tweet one night that said, "If you can't stand by your own flag, seek a different color." It pisses me off when these people stand up and say, "This is what I'm going to do," and then they do something different. I have no problem with those Tea Party candidates saying, no, we're not going to vote this way because we told the people to put us in office that this is what we would do.
Right, and we're not going to fall in line and do what
And isn't that what the opposition party is supposed to be doing? They're supposed to be representing their people. It's not supposed to be a rubber stamp.
You know, and the representatives are supposed to represent the people. They're not supposed to represent a party. Yeah, they're not supposed to represent a party.
Right.
I mean, what Abraham Lincoln said, we the people are the rightful masters of both Congress and the courts, not to overthrow the Constitution, but to overthrow the men who pervert the Constitution. I think that's what the Tea Party is looking for. I think that the Tea Party, they tend to be conservatives, but anybody who understands the original intent of the Constitution is branded as conservative, and they want to get people out that want to pervert that Constitution, whether they're Republican or Democrats. And I have a major problem with the two-party system. I agree with George Washington in the fact that it potentially could be the downfall of our country because people get elected with a D or an R next to their name, and they do the bidding of their party. They have whips and so forth to get them in line with the party platform. Well, you want that bill brought to light, you better support us on this. And they represent a party as opposed to the people. And I know we only have a few minutes left, and we have a caller. Did Bob go away?
Yeah,
hey, Bob, if you're still on, we'd like to take your call if you'd like to call back.
I'm going to, and it's kind of along the third-party lines, maybe not. So, reaction, and I'll start with Andrea, because ladies goes first, with Ron Paul, and this was actually a question tweeted to us from Not Nikki on Twitter. Ron Paul only getting a video-type tribute, not being allowed to speak at the RNC. What's your reaction to that?
I'm not sure why Ron Paul should be speaking at the convention. I'm not really sure I understand why, I don't have a problem with Ron Paul not speaking at the convention.
Okay. Even with the amount of delegates that he carries, and I know they've squared that away already, but he still carries a lot of delegates. Hold on, Rooster, I'm going to let you go.
Bye, Rooster. I guess it's for 3 days. Did you guys say Rooster was leaving?
No, I was going to let him talk after you. That's all.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a 3-day convention. I guess when I say not speaking, I don't mean I don't see him as a keynote speaker. I think over the course of 3 days, there's a place for someone with delegates to speak. I meant not as a featured speaker. To clarify.
Rooster, I know you have an opinion on this.
Yeah, I'm not a Ron Paul fan, but I think it's despicable. He's got a pocket full of delegates. That means that there's a good portion of people out there that were voting for him. He deserves a voice at the convention, if the convention is supposed to be all-inclusive.
I agree.
What?
Okay, that's Clint's answer. And here's the way.
Look, Ron Paul changed the conversation in the Republican Party.
Yes,
he really did during the course of this campaign. And
I want Ron Paul to head the Fed.
What's that? You know what? I think that would be an awesome idea. There's no way Romney's going to let Ron Paul head anything, especially the Fed. But
how about
I agree
Barbie?
with you on that.
Does he give her a position?
No, he doesn't give her a position either. I don't believe he hasn't tapped her to speak at the convention or to endorse him at all. I don't believe that she gets a position at all, which is unfortunate. I think he's slitting his own throat and kind of
I see her as
alienating.
Secretary of State.
I don't think he'll do it. Why would he put her in a position like that? Yeah, exactly. Why would he put her in a position like that if
he's not going to? He doesn't like her.
Back to the question. We covered Sarah already. Come on.
Oh, the hell with you.
Good call, Rooster. Finally.
And I haven't
even
responded on this yet.
I think Sarah Palin's too good for Secretary of State. To be traveling around doing, bump and grind dances in Africa like Hillary Clinton's done. It's to me.
Sarah goes to Africa. She's not going to be bumping and grinding. She's going to be up in a helicopter with an AR-15 shooting moose.
That I'd like to see.
Me too.
My thought on the whole Ron Paul thing, and I thought I was going to get an answer.
I thought we got off that topic.
No.
Oh.
I think he shot himself in the foot when a speaking position when he agreed to kind of let Romney have the nomination a few days ago or a week ago now. I think if they were still up in the air and he was still bringing his delegates in who potentially could have voted him in as VP, I think he probably would have gotten a speaking role at that point, and hopefully at the last minute would have said to endorse Rami and Ryan. So I think he kind of did it to himself. I don't necessarily agree with it. I kind of think that he should have his voice because, like Clint said, he did change their whole conversation, and he brings, even though I don't agree with everything that comes out of his mouth and what he votes for, he brings a lot of good stuff to the table that has to be looked at.
Well, but then what about Gingrich? What about Gingrich?
I think there should have been a lot more big names that have, and we only have 3.5 minutes left.
Gingrich is a progressive, though. Every time he touts, you listen to who his heroes are. He touts Teddy Roosevelt. He touts these progressives. He doesn't tout George Washington or Thomas Jefferson, John Adams. I mean, he touts these progressives. So Gingrich. But if
the argument is that somebody's got delegates, they ought to be allowed, to be, featured speaker, then why not Gingrich?
Because Ron Paul delegates were different types.
It becomes a question of, is it about somebody having delegates, or is it about putting forth what the Republicans are about in order to, win an election? And I think the overriding goal should be about a message that's going to allow us to win in October. To me, that should be the driving goal.
I think it's me if I'm Mitt Romney and I'm looking for support. I invite everybody, maybe even Rick Perry. I don't know if I'd let Rick Perry stop. Maybe I'd put him in one of those dunk tanks where people could throw the ball. But I would do whatever I could to get their conservative votes behind me at this point, because November's right around the corner, and I need all the support we can get. Hey, guys, I appreciate you guys calling in tonight. Rooster, always a pleasure. Andrea, always a pleasure. I do want to say, while I have everyone on the line, I think everyone knows him from Twitter. Friend of the show, Woody 11X, who's a friend of Twitter, leaves Tuesday to ship out to begin his career in the United States Army, and I want to say thank you to Woody for.
Thank you, Woody. Good luck, man. Stay safe. Keep your head down.
Serve our country, and I want to thank everyone who participated on Twitter in the chat room. You can find us at sackheadsradio.com. Check out Rooster, conservativeoutcry.net. FinancialNewsAndTalk.com, AM, and it's 1510 and 1450 down in the San Diego area. Andrea Kaye, thank you so much for calling in tonight.
Thank you. Good chatting with you guys.
Thank you. Good chatting with you,
Andrea. And thank you, guys. And we will talk to everyone next Friday night at the same time for our Friday Night Fiasco. Thank you very much for listening.
I'll be gone next Friday. Got hockey
going?
with my son up in Philadelphia. First tournament of the year.
All right.
Well, good luck to your son.
This is an excused absence, but it will not be tolerated too much in the future.
Andrea, it's been a pleasure. Woody, head down, muzzle up, buddy.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll see you next week.
You too.
We will not be responsible for
Bye-bye.
any hearing impairments or damage caused to you from excessive exposure to this sound.